before. Look, the Marlins 11-5 since starting the season, 10-31. It was the second straight day and fifth time in 13 games that the Padres tied a season low with only 4 hits. The 19th time they struck out at least a dozen times. So the Padres are striking out at more frequently than any other team, about 3.6 plate appearances, and then there's a strikeout. Their batting average of 231 is the fifth lowest. Their on base percentage is about 290. That's the fourth lowest. Their swing and miss about 28% of the time, more than any other team in Major League Baseball. They got 15 bunt hits. That's good. All right, and it's not so speedy. Many of those bunt hits has been an act of desperation for players on the Padres who were trying to. Yeah, Craig Mish likes Cooper a lot. And Craig is well tied down in Florida, actually knows Cooper, and maybe that's why he likes him, but who knows, okay? 87 home runs are the 10th most, but they've scored just 232 runs, ranking them 26, and that's because they had the fewest plate appearances with runners on base or in scoring position of any team in the majors. So there you go. The Mets' Dominic Smith hit a home run, but his sore right thumb uh, caused the Mets to sit him on Sunday. He's going for an MRI today, so we'll see. Those of you who have caught lightning in a bottle with Dwight Smith, please be careful. Got an MRI coming up. Robinson Cano was eligible to come off the injured list, but he needs a couple of more days. By the way, in San Francisco, Drew Pomeranz has not lost his starting job. He could pitch against the Dodgers in San Francisco when the team returns back. Same thing with Derek Rodriguez, who began the year in the starting rotation. Early struggles sent him to AAA, but since returning, he's given up just 2 hits in 6 2/3. That could put him right back into the rotation. So if you're looking for a sneaky guy, if you're in a deep league, you want a guy in a big ballpark, Cano could be back on Tuesday, possibly. Yes, I saw that report as well, but it's really not substantiated. Now the Phillies, Pivetta, he looked good, man. He had a good fastball, a good curve, 9 strikeouts, only 82 pitches, and he didn't walk a batter. Not bad. The Phillies batted 15 for 95 in 3 games against the Dodgers. They were 3-20 runners in scoring position. And Jay Bruce, now here's the thing about Bruce. If you take a look at the Phillies lineup, there's only 2 left-handed hitters, Bryce Harper and Cesar Hernandez. And that's because they lost Odubel Herrera. So Bruce, who has hit 10 home runs in Citizens Bank Park, he'll do what he does. He'll do what he does. Probably be a platoon with, I don't know, Kingery's hitting too well. And if he's a platoon with Kingery, I don't really know who's going to play center field. But this will also start a Mariners fire sale. Look for Encarnacion, even D. Gordon when he comes back. Nobody's untouchable in Seattle, and there's going to be a lot of action. The Pirates lost for the 10th time in 14 games. Depleted pitching staff, 5 games, but they're only 5 games behind the Brewers. And here's something. Has anybody thought about trading Josh Bell? Well, think about it, because he's 2 days removed now from the best month by a position player in the history of the Pirates. Hit 390, of course, we all know. But he became human in the series against the Brewers. He actually struck out 7 times and was 4 for 20. So now could be the time. If you're not aware that Josh Bell has started to come back down to earth, and he will. I'm not saying he's not a good ball player, and I have him. I touted him. But now may be the time, if there's something that you need, and Josh Bell could be the answer to a couple of teams, and it might be the time to trade him. I think we've seen the best of Josh Bell. The Cardinals, as we all know, they had one of the worst months in franchise history in May. All right, but their sweep of the Cardinals pulled them within the sweep of the Cubs, by the way. They're only a game and a half out of second place and 3 games behind the Brewers. So there you go. On the negative side, Alex Reyes, who came up to AAA, gave up 7 hits and 7 runs, 3 home runs. He walked 3 in 4 2/3. Okay? So there you go. Alex Reyes, don't get so. A rookie is a rookie. Relax, everybody. The good news, he's recovering from a broken left pinky, so it's not his arm or anything. He threw 88 pitches. All right? So, first time he had hit since suffering the injury. Also, he batted once. So, all right. So, let's see what happens now. Reyes is getting ready to be in that rotation. Max Scherzer had 25 swing and misses. 25. 17th regular season game with at least 25 swing and misses, the most in Major League Baseball since 2008. Chris Sale is second, by the way, with 10. And Scherzer, when Dave Martinez came to take him out of the game, Scherzer says, "Get lost." And Martinez turned around, and he had already thrown 117 pitches, but they left him in. Very interesting. Don't forget, coming up next at 10 o'clock is a fellow by the name of, I forgot, Arnie. Arnie coming on at 10. I didn't forget your name. I'm just kidding. Arnie coming on 10, and Roto Imbeciles tonight. The time has moved to 6:30. And if you're listening on Spreaker or any other method of listening, changing up the show a little bit, you'll see. We're going to have 2-star pitchers coming up next, okay? So Nunez for Baltimore as we go to the American League. Unbelievable. 6 out of his 8 last 8 hits going for extra bases. 3 over the fence for a home run. So he's homered 8 of his past 13 games. I just picked him up in the Sirius XM Host League, and I paid a bundle for somebody who was still on the waiver wire. Unbelievable. 47% hard hit rate. That's the percentage of balls put in play at 95 miles an hour or more. Highest among the Orioles. The next highest was actually Chris Davis, okay? Ryan Mountcastle. Keep an eye on this kid. He's surpassed Yusniel Diaz as the Orioles' top prospect. He had a left wrist injury late last week, but I'll tell you, after he hit a home run, a walk-off on Saturday, he had 3 more on Sunday. Mountcastle has 11. That's the most in the system. And I got to tell you something, they're going to find a place for him to play, or maybe just a DH, okay? They would like to see Mountcastle stay in the International League long enough so that pitchers could face him for the second time. And, that's something, we see these youngsters have great, streaks, but sometimes management wants these players to face pitchers for the second time, and then you see what he does. Okay? CC Sabathia, the 4th pitcher to get 8+ swinging strikeouts against the Red Sox this year. Last year, only 6 pitchers did that all year, and here it is June 2nd. And Mookie Betts is going to be hitting leadoff the rest of the year. So he batted first through his MVP 2018 season. He experimented with Benintendi, but now Mookie Betts and Benintendi will be 1 and 2. In Tampa, they got to play better against good teams. They lost again, made them 9 and 10 against teams that entered Sunday with winning records. They were 26 and 12 against the rest of the league. So Tampa, as good as they are, be careful. Giolito allowed 5 hits, struck out 9 and 7 1/3. He carried over his success from May. He's 8-1, and his ERA is 2.54. Last month he was 5-0 with a 1.74. He extended his scoreless streak to 14 1/3. Cleveland is just, Danny Plesac, whatever his name is, Plesac, 61 four-seam fastballs out of 91 pitches. His average fastball was 94.5. He topped out at 96.5. He threw 13 changeups, 8 curveballs, 14 sliders. Who cares? He pitched good. But somehow there's not a lot of confidence in this guy. A lot of confidence in Carlos Santana, whose streak of reaching base 18 games ended. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. But just like everybody else on the team, Giolito has really emerged as a big-time pitcher. Imagine the two best pitchers in Major League Baseball this year. Probably you're going to say Hyun-Shin Ryu and Luis Giolito. How about that? Santana had a great streak, 21 for 62. All right? He's hitting 286 now, and he's always been productive, but he's never been this high of an average guy. He's always been a pretty good on-base percentage guy. Last year, the Indians went 14-5 against the White Sox. This year, the White Sox are beating the Indians 7 games won, 5 games lost. They're definitely heading in different directions. And here's one for you. Plesac is just the 9th pitcher to record a pickoff caught stealing in his first 2 big league games since 1908. Okay, how about that? Jacoby Jones. Keep an eye on this kid in the waiver wire. I've been talking about him for over a year. And finally, he went 2 for 4. He's got a 9-game hitting streak. Look, he was fully capable of doing a lot more than he did. He was 4 for 38 with 19 strikeouts, hitting 138. He was very confused, out of sync. He was hitting 138 on May 4th. And 4 weeks later, after his 2 hits on Sunday, he's up to 236. He's hit 302 in that 27-game span, 386 on base, slugging close to 600. He went into Sunday 8-game hitting streak. Jacoby Jones could be a sleeper pickup for you. Okay, you got that? Jacoby Jones. Yeah, something like that with Dan. You're right. He's Plesac. Now, Michael Brantley, when he was with Cleveland, he was DH 38 times. But he has started 14 times since arriving to Houston, and he entered Sunday 16 for 48 as a designated hitter. Some hitters say it's not that easy. And Hinch really spread that DH duty around. 10 players have at least one start, with Brantley, Springer, and Tyler White each DHing about 10 starts apiece. Kansas City struck out a lot, 47 times. They walked 7 times in the 4-game series. They go into Monday with a day off. 3 consecutive losses, coming off a 1-6 road trip. Mondesi leads the league with his 8th triple. And Keller allowed 3 runs, 9 hits in 7 innings. He struck out 6, and after having struggled with his command this season, Keller has walked only 1 batter in his last 13 innings. That's 2 starts. He threw 75 out of 100 pitches for strikes. He's on his game. He's given up only 1 extra base hit in his last 2 starts, and the opponents have only managed to get, 18 singles and 1 double in 13 innings. Jump on Keller if he's facing a mediocre team. That's right, Giolito and Ryu. Anybody want to put somebody else up there? The Angels have struggled this season against left-handers, but they massacred Marco Gonzalez. 10 runs, 9 hits. So, when you play in DFS and you say, Angels really can't hit lefties, you play him against Marco Gonzalez. Didn't work. Minnesota, 12 hits. They got their Major League best 30th game with double-digit hits. They have 10 or more hits in 14 of the past 17. They've averaged 7.8 runs. They've won 40 of their first 58 games. That's the quickest they've reached 40 wins in their 119-year history. Who are the Minnesota Twins before they moved to Minnesota? Let's see if anybody gets that. Who are the Minnesota Twins? Who are the Minnesota Twins? Who were the Minnesota Twins before they moved to Minnesota? Now, to some of us, we'll say, and Melnick, what kind of a question is that, okay? But I'm just curious to see. Who knows that, okay? We know everything that happened. Yeah, you go, George got it. I knew you guys would get it. I should have outlawed you, all right? Yeah, the Washington Senators, led by who? Harmon Killebrew, Roy Sievers. Who else? Tommy